America. Are you ready to be talked down to again by the administration? Oh, pip, pip, and all the rest. Valerie Jarrett, she's one of the president's top advisors. She was at Harvard last week. Jarrett was asked by a very smart man in a snappy bow tie, asked her if the administration would consider drafting up some sort of a booklet on health care, you know, for dummies, including those people in the Tea Party, that riffraff that just doesn't get it. Here's what she said.
If the Obama administration and others, and I'm asking this of you, could write some much simpler booklets on housing foreclosure, of the health care bill, or Wall Street collapse, whereas a typical person, including those in the Tea Party, etc., could understand the basics of it, because I feel that many of them simply don't. Do you think that is an analogy? And
I think it's an excellent analogy. Yeah. I think probably hope and change were so catchy because it was really very simple, and it was something everyone understood the definition of. That's why death panels were so catchy. Everybody didn't necessarily know what it meant, but they knew it was really bad. And so I think part of what our challenge is to find a very simple way of communicating.
Yeah. I think, did anybody, I mean, she just admitted that the really super smart Obama voters who are like brains about this big, they have to carry them in luggage sometimes, extra brains for extra people. Didn't she just admit that they voted for Barack Obama because the hope and change thing was so simple? If they're so smart, next election, you know what they should do? They should put up bumper stickers everywhere that says Obama, because the rich people have too much 22/7. It's a pie joke, you see, but not a real pie, mathematical pie. Jarrett also goes on to point out that President Obama doesn't need people like this is going to, blood will shoot out of your eyes, doesn't need people like Tea Parties, you know, to correct him. Why? Listen.
There's nobody more self-critical than President Obama. Part of the burden of being so bright is that he sees his error immediately.
Wow, he's just so bright that he sees his errors immediately. Maybe if he were a tad less smart, he could see his errors before he made them. Or does that mess up the time-space continuum? And I love this. He's just so bright, you know, that's a burden for him. Oh, yes, it is. It must be so hard to be so much smarter than everyone else. What a burden, having to make little coloring books for voters. Obama's brilliance includes Bill Maher. Oh, yeah, they're brothers in brilliance. Bill Maher also thinks very little of those Americans. Listen to this.
What the Democrats never understand is that Americans don't really care what position you take. Yeah. Just stick with one. Yeah. Just be strong. They're not bright enough to really understand the issues.
I wish I was bright enough to understand that, man. Americans aren't bright enough to understand the issues. They don't care about policies. So Bill Maher is saying, Shanghai them into whatever you want. Maybe you could do a nuclear option. Just jam it down their throat. Just make a decision and stick with it. They'll never know the difference. They just want somebody strong. This is so weird, Bill Maher, because I remember in history, there have been several examples of this, but this has been tried a few times. People aren't smart enough. They need somebody to take care of them. Just look and act strong, and they'll be popular. Oh, yeah. Yes, that's right. That worked out well, didn't it? Pip, pip, and all the rest.